host of the Gridiron.
All right. Welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link, takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. And then finally, just underneath that, somewhere in the description box, there's another link, takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 10,600 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, if I got internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group down there 365. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, guys, here we are. This is like, I guess, the official hump game, right? Eight games going up. You got the hump game, and then you got 8 games. Usually the way Giants, it's all downhill, right? Once we hit that hump, it's all as we're going down, the roller coaster ride's going down in flames, right? And everybody on it's burning. We're all dying and everything like that, trying to jump off to our deaths and all. All we have to look forward to as we're coming crashing, burning, usually in the second half of the season, is we're looking down on all the pretty draft picks that we get, right? So, but unfortunately, the official halfway. The Giants got a very late bye week. This it's unfortunately, hopefully not, but if you want to be truthful about it, by the time the bye week, usually it's like halfway through the season, even maybe early on, you still got a chance, you're still in the race and all that stuff and everything. And you get that bye week and you get maybe a couple guys back or so that were nicked up or something, but it's by the time the Giants get their bye week, it's, luckily, at least we're home. The Giants have, and especially with Jackson Dart in control, has given the crowd a little something to cheer about, at least at home anyway. He's given us all something to cheer about, a little hope for the future, right? Even now, it's looking at another losing record. But at least we've played well at home, and the last time we played at home, against the Eagles was rather nice, 34-17 whooping of the defending Super Bowl champions. But this week we got the 49ers coming in. It's a big game. Every game is big, but this is a huge game for the 49ers as well. They're 5-3. If I counted right, I think there's 7 teams, I think, that have winning records in the NFC. The 49ers are one of them. They're 5-3. They will also want to try to keep pace with the Rams and the Seahawks. So it's a very, very, very important game. The 49ers had a bunch of injuries. I mean, they got backup quarterbacks in there, and they're still 5-3. All right. So, if it comes down to coaching, I think we're in a lot of trouble here. Shanahan's a very, very good coach. Dable is Dable's a head coach, yeah. But Shanahan's a very good coach. So if it comes head, right, we might be at a disadvantage there. It's a good possibility. Hopefully, the Giants should be able to score some points in this game. Keep it exciting. What we're going to see from the Giants defense, who knows? What we're going to see from Dexter Lawrence, who knows? When Carl Banks was kind of calling him out, Dexter took offense to that. Of course, you figured he would. everybody on the Giants team, the Giants coaches are all defending sexy. And, absolutely, I'm sure. But they just do what they're supposed to do. Right? They're saying the right things. But there's times, sorry, Dexter Lawrence, like last year, was getting double teamed. And he's a pushing, he's in the backfield, he's eating up quarterbacks. We're seeing this, right? He hit 9 sacks in 12 games. I mean, we're not seeing that this year. Not sure if his elbow still causing him some kind of concern or exactly what's going on, but we're going to go over the injury report, and it's both teams have some injury concerns, right? So the Giants should be able to score some points in this game, right? The 49ers don't sack the quarterback a lot. The 49ers don't necessarily pick off a lot of passes or what do they have? What do the 49ers have here? Oh, so yeah. Interceptions. I think they have one. What do they have? Interceptions. I don't know. Oh, my bad. Yeah, the 49ers have one interception. Not that the Giants can't be jumping for joy, but the Giants only got 4. The Giants don't have a lot of turnovers either. Neither team really has a lot of turnovers. So neither team is, living and dying, with their defense. If our offensive, if we got the offensive line, Dart should be able to hopefully move the ball, right? The 49ers, let's see, where are we at? Defensive wise. I said they only have like 9 sacks on the season. Or is it 8 sacks? Sacks, what do they got? They have 9 sacks on it. So they're averaging 1 sack a game. That's not a lot. The 49ers, they don't run the ball particularly well. So something, might be one of those things where something might kind of give. The 49ers are averaging 3.4 yards a carry. Even Christian McCaffrey is only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. But then on the other hand, the Giants defense is like the worst as far as stopping the run. So something might give. The 49ers been scoring some points with the backup quarterback. Is it what the Giants? What you're going to see from the Giants defense? Once again, who knows? The Giants defense said we're going to go over the injury report. They're totally depleted in the secondary. So could be should be a very interesting game. Turnovers are going to be huge. Really, huge. All right, what do we got here? And McCaffrey has not, he's gotten yardage just from sheer volume of running the ball, but he's not averaging a lot per carry. But he does have a lot of yards receiving. He has, I believe, over 1,000 yards already. He has 490 and 5. Yeah, he has over 1,000 yards already, halfway through the season. So he has he has about 1,049 yards already, halfway through the season. So at that rate, he's on pace for about 2,100 total yards. What's he got? 3 touchdowns. He has 6 touchdowns. So he has about 500 yards rushing and a little over 500 receiving. He's on pace for 1,000 and 1,000. So he's going to be a key, especially since they don't have Deebo Samuel anymore. Brandon Ayuk's been injured since I think it's been a while. So and the Skittle man just came back. So you look at them. What do they got? Kendrick Bourne. What is it? McCaffrey is going to be huge out of the backfield. He has 56 receptions. He's averaging 7 receptions a game, almost 2 receptions a quarter. And he's also averaging 10 yards a reception, too. So basically, every time he gets the ball, he's averaging a first down. Kendrick Bourne is 28 receptions. They don't really have anybody else anytime real big hitter who's just gobbling up all kinds of receptions. They got Kendrick Bourne. Ricky Pearsall has 20 receptions. Jake Tongs, I guess that said his name correctly, he's 26 receptions. Jennings has 18 receptions. Kyle Jusic, their fullback, has 13 receptions. Kittle has only played in 3 games. He has 8 receptions. So he hasn't really, but he's a very good blocker, though. All right. All-time series, the Giants at 2-6 will host the 5-3 49ers. This will be the 36th regular season meeting between the two teams. They last met week 3 of 2023 in San Francisco. Giants' last victory over the 49ers came in 2018 when they defeated them on the road 27-23. The Giants will wear their classic 80s era blue uniform and rebrand the stadium to include their classic helmet design at midfield and vintage red end zones with the Giants block lettering. The vintage white and legacy uniforms are a homage to the 1980s when the franchise won its first Super Bowl. So the Giants here. Now, yeah. Don't know why, but they're going to be going into the game. And of course, they have let's go. McCaffrey's going to have a field day. Yep. Yeah. I am sure McCaffrey at least have 100 yards. Especially out of the backfield. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Not one bit. Can't argue with that. Now, the thing is, the Giants have not elevated. We're going to go over who they brought up from the practice squad all in just a bit. But once again, they're going into the game with 2 running backs. I'm not sure why they don't want to elevate Turbo Miller, but they're going into the game with 2 running backs. So the Giants lost more than just the game last weekend, obviously after losing Cam Skattebo. Through 8 weeks, Skattebo leads all rookies in total yards from scrimmage with 617. And, of course, the first couple of games he didn't play a lot. He was the backup. So if he had started and played all, and if he didn't get hurt last week, he'd probably have well over 700 yards, if maybe closer to 800 yards if he played in the first couple of weeks and if he didn't get injured last week. And it's not too bad. I mean, he'd probably have close to about 800 yards total offense in 8 games. Skattebo would be on a nice, he would be exceeding what Tyrone Tracy Jr. did last year. I mean, you can't complain. Tyrone did a phenomenal job. Of course, Tyrone wasn't the starter at the beginning of the season. He accumulated over 1,000 yards between rushing and receiving last year. Skattebo is on pace to exceed that. The backfield will now turn back to Tyrone Tracy Jr., who began the season as the starter before a week 3 shoulder injury sidelined him for a couple weeks. In 6 games, 2 starts this season, the second-year back has gained 159 yards on 45 carries with 10 receptions for 68 yards and 1 total touchdown. As a rookie 5th-round pick last year, Tracy racked up 1,123 total yards of offense with 6 touchdowns. Tracy's, Van Roten said Tracy's a really good football player. He kind of got sidelined with an injury earlier in the season, so we're just excited to get him back to form and kind of build on what he did last year, because I think he's a better player this year than he was last year. Now, the one thing that I do like about having Tracy back is where, unlike Skattebo, is Tracy can take it to the house. Skattebo can take it to the house, but on his way to the house, he's going to have to run over like 4 or 5 guys. We noticed the one run that Tracy had against the Broncos. Takes it all away. He had a couple good long runs last year for the Giants. So if you're able to give the guy an opening, he can take it to the house. And what you were talking about, containing McCaffrey, right? In last week's loss to the Eagles, the Giants gave up a season-high 276 yards on the ground. Saquon and Tank Bigsby, the future Hall of Famer, the top 10, one of the top 10 greatest running backs of all time, Tank Bigsby, got over 100 yards rushing. I mean, absolute joke. I think the Eagles average it was over 8 yards a carry they averaged. But I was a little misleading because, one of them was the tush push with the fumble that we didn't get because everything just, nothing went the Giants' way that last week. But I think the Eagles had a couple kneel downs, they had the tush push. So basically, when they turned around and handed the ball to the running backs, I think the running backs averaged over 9 yards a carry last week. I mean, so basically, like every time they ran the ball, they picked up a first down. Last week, the Eagles, they're running 276 yards rushing. Was more than 2 of the game. It was the Buccaneer game and the Chiefs game. They had less total offense, the Eagles, total less than 276 yards in offense than the Giants gave up the running game. I mean, last week the Eagles was the first time all season the Eagles offense actually outgained their opponent. Took to the 8th game of the season before the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles, actually outgained their opponent. A.J. Brown wasn't in there. They had a backup center in there. Their offensive line was a little nicked up, and we couldn't stop them. Absolutely unbelievable. Heading into Week 9, the Giants are surrendering 5.7 yards per carry, the highest mark in the NFL. We're giving up almost 6 yards a carry. The defense will have yet another difficult matchup this week as the unit tries to slow down Christian McCaffrey. The 29-year-old is averaging a career low, only 3.5 yards per carry, as he's gained just 490 yards on 140 rushing attempts. But also, that's very important as well, too, especially if you got a backup quarterback in there. You just can't abandon the run. You got, even if it's 3.5 yards, you gotta keep it the run. The numbers will look even worse if it weren't for his 129-yard performance against the Falcons in Week 6, a game that saw him score 2 of his 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. Despite his limited success on the ground, McCaffrey has still registered 7 games with 100-plus total yards from scrimmage due to his excellence in the passing game. The talented back ranks second in the NFL with 56 receptions, while his 559 receiving yards is the 8th most. His 1,049 total yards from scrimmage are only 7 yards shy of Jonathan Taylor for the most in the league. Now we got to keep an eye on it. They say here players to watch. Obviously, Jackson Dart, through 5 starts, has completed around 60% of his passes for 984 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions for a passer rating of 90.8. Not too bad when you don't have any wide receivers. He also had 195 yards and additional 4 touchdowns on the ground. This led to him being named the NFC Offensive Rookie of the Month for October. After his performance last weekend in Philadelphia, he became the first quarterback in Super Bowl era with 8 or more passing touchdowns, 4 or more rushing touchdowns, and less than 5 turnovers in his first 5 career starts. The best way to keep McCaffrey, George Kittle, and company off the field is to sustain long drives, which starts with the rookie quarterback. Now, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. Trent Williams, the guy is just he's like a truck. He's huge, and he's nasty too. Versus Brian Burns, the Spider-Man. It's going to be interesting to watch. Burns heads into this matchup tied with Myles Garrett for the most sacks in the NFL with 10. Williams has allowed 36 pressures on 320 pass blocking snaps for an 11.3% pressure rate, according to Next Gen Stats. So that's not good. So, he's been around for a little while. I don't know if he's banged up, but he's just, he's a big dude, big, huge dude. This is not one of his better seasons, though. This is the 10th highest rate among left tackles with 100-plus pass block snaps and the highest for Williams since at least 2018. Prior to this season, the tackle had not allowed a pressure rate above 8.4% in any season as a member of the 49ers. The Giants are going to need Burns along with Kayvon and Abdul Carter to get pressure on the quarterback and set the edge in the run game. We have to keep an eye on George Kittle. Then, of course, the Giants have for a long time have always had a hard time covering tight ends. Now, Kittle only has, the Dodgers just took a 5-4 lead. Boy, I'll tell you what, if the Blue Jays wind up losing this World Series, they can just kick themselves in their own rear ends. They just line up one after they everybody just kick each other in the butt as hard as they humanly possibly can. They had bases loaded but one out. Tie game in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded on and couldn't push a run across. So they wound up blowing this World Series. It's all on them. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I do apologize. The Giants, for the longest time, have a hard time covering tight ends. And although Kittle only has 8 receptions on the season, he's a very good blocker. But, don't let that, deceive you. He's a very good tight end. So he's somebody to keep an eye on. Him and McCaffrey. After a quiet return in Week 7, Kittle caught 4 passes for 43 yards in his second TD of the season last week. In 2 career games against the Giants, Kittle has scored 16 passes for 173 yards. Jackson Dart has completed 67.8% of his passes for 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 101.4 passer rating when not pressured. And I said the 49ers do not get much pressure on the quarterback. On plays that he is pressured, Dart's numbers dropped to 46.2% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and a 72.4 passer rating. Heading into Week 9, the 49ers have pressured opposing quarterbacks on only 25.9% of the dropbacks this season, which is the lowest rate in the NFL. Giants need to take advantage of that. Big time. All right. What else we got here? Yeah, Mac Jones will probably be the starter. Brock Purdy is questionable. But he's been doing a good job for him. And can the Giants pass rush get any kind of pressure? That, obviously, which would wind up being huge because we're going to go over once again the injuries. The secondary is kind of missing. So the Giants are going to need, obviously, hopefully, to control the run game. And if they get some pressure on a quarterback, on Mac Daddy Jones, that would be huge to take some pressure off the secondary. Because if they can't get pressure, if Mac Daddy Jones can just stand in the pocket for an hour and a half, sooner or later somebody's going to pop open. It should be. I mean, obviously, you never know how good or bad the refs are going to be. Is it all going to be one-sided where they take points off the board? Well, they gave the Eagles points last week. They took points off the board for the Giants. Yeah, is it going to be that way for the Giants for that, or is it going to be kind of an even keel kind of game? It's going to be a couple bad bounces here or there. You don't know. Turnovers are going to be huge in this game. But there's a good chance the Giants could score some points. So even if their defense is MIA and they can't stop anybody, they should be able to at least put some points up on the board and keep it interesting. Once again, it's any given Sunday, anything can happen in the NFL. But, the one, you can always count on the Giants to have injuries. Well, the same thing with the 49ers. Unfortunately for the 49ers, sadly, is that, they very good coach. They usually have obviously very good players, and a lot of times they do get the injury bug, just like the Giants do. While the 49ers have ruled 4 guys out, same thing with the Giants. Unfortunately. All right. So, the Giants are ruled out. Once again, Chauncey Golston, I guess he's not going to play anymore. I don't know. He's only played just a handful of snaps this year. I was very excited about seeing him, especially his depth at the pass rushing position. Right, having him, right? You got Abdul Carter, you got Kayvon, you got Burns, and Jones. I was very excited about seeing him, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be playing anymore this year. Every week he's always out. He's got a neck. It's not something you want to mess around with. I get it, but the Giants, the 3 other guys are out: Paulson Adebo, Cordell Flott, and Art Green. Now, Art Green, I'm going to talk about a little more in depth. He got put on IR with a hamstring. So, but out of the 4 guys out, three of them in the secondary for the Giants. Doubtful. Now, unfortunately here, Jermaine Illuminor is doubtful. Now, that pretty much he's got a pectoral. It's not torn or anything like that, but pretty much if the guy is doubtful, good chance he ain't playing. It's the same thing with Daniel Bellinger. He's got a neck as well. So we got 4 guys out. We got 2 guys that are doubtful. Once again, if they're doubtful, there's a good chance they're not playing. So, and then we have 2 guys who are questionable. Rico Payton, another cornerback, and Javon Holland with his knee. So out of what we got? We got 8 guys that are listed with an injury designation. Out of those 8 guys, 5 of them are in the secondary. We have 4 cornerbacks, right, and 1 safety that are listed. Now, hopefully with Rico Payton and Javon, at least they'll be able to play. But they do play. Javon Holland plays. He's questionable. He still has a knee. You're running around out there with a knee, it's going to be affected by it. Now, the 49ers, they have 4 guys who are out as well. Jake Brendel, the center. So, if they're a little banged up, or in the center of the line, you would kind of hope maybe once again, maybe Sexy Dexy could maybe possibly have a good game like he should have had last week, but he didn't. Actually, last week against a backup center, everybody's standing behind Sexy, especially the coaches and the team and all that. And I get it. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're saying the right things. But against a backup center, I think Sexy had a half a sack, but he should have had much more than that. Gross Matos, the defensive end, he's out. He has a knee and a hamstring. Bryce Huff, another defensive end, he's out with a hamstring. Ricky Pearsall, he's out with a knee. Now, Pearsall, what did I say? Here we go. Pearsall, he has 20 receptions. He is their 4th highest leading receiver. But he averages 16.4 yards a reception, which is the most on the team, yards per reception. So they have a Kendrick Bourne, Jake Tongues, I'm going to say, that's how you pronounce his right name, and Juwan Jennings, and Kyle Juszczyk, their fullback. But There are three wide receivers. One guy has 18 receptions, another guy has 26, and another guy has 28 in 8 games. But they do have, don't forget about Kittle either. Don't forget about him. Then they have 6 guys who are questionable. 2 of them, Spencer Burford, the tackle, he's questionable with a knee. And then Ben Barch, a guard, he's questionable with an ankle. So they got a center, a guard, and a tackle. They got the centers out, and they got a guard and a tackle who are questionable. Then they got some issues on their defensive line. Gross Matos is out. Bryce Huff is out. And questionable, Jordan Elliott is questionable. He's a defensive tackle. And then Sam, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Another one of the defensive ends is questionable. He has an ankle as well, too. So they're a little nicked up on the defensive line. And they got 3 guys who have injury designations on their offensive line as well, too. Brock Purdy is questionable. Apparently, it doesn't seem like he's going to be playing. As far as I know, all the stuff I'm reading and all that. Looks like Mac Daddy Jones is going to be playing for him. And then D. Winters, a linebacker, he's got a knee. So the 49ers, they always seem to have they're unfortunately, I mean, it's a shame because it's as just a fan of the NFL, it's really a shame, when there's a well-coached team, good players, and they don't get a chance to fulfill what they're capable of doing because of injuries. Why does one team get totally decimated by injuries and they can't fulfill the possibility of winning a Super Bowl, while another team gets lucky and has the capability because they don't get injured? I say that, like last year, the Detroit Lions. To me, they were the best team in the NFC, but they were decimated by injuries. They couldn't even get to the championship game. They were decimated, especially their defense was decimated by injuries. So it's a shame. But the 49ers usually, for whatever reason or not, they usually have some issues with getting injured, but they're very, very well coached. So that certainly, does help. It seems like with the Giants, as I did a video, the last time I did a video was when the 49ers have injury issues, they have a good chance of winning. When the Giants, when we get injured, we got this guy out, and now we got, Cam's out. Obviously, our number 1 wide receiver's out. We got some issues with injuries. It's like, yeah, we're probably going to lose because we lost, because we're injured. Some teams, they can overcome. I mean, a lot of it's got to do with depth, too. Don't get me wrong. But some teams are just very well coached and very well organized and structured and all that. They get injuries and they can still overcome that. Other teams like the Giants, when we get a bunch of injuries, But so the Giants did not elevate Turbo Miller. It's a shame, but they are elevating Ray McLeod for Sunday. So they're elevating him. It doesn't guarantee or whatever that he's going to be suiting up, but he is elevated. So the Giants did elevate a few guys. You can kind of figure that they elevated guys in the secondary, since the Giants are pretty much decimated in the secondary. Giants made the following roster moves ahead of Sunday's home game against the 49ers. They activated from the practice squad Ray McLeod, Zaire Barnes, linebacker. They activated from injury reservers Rico Payton, and then, of course, they put on the injury Art Green, unfortunately. Giants roster moves. New York, actually, Jackson Dart gets a new target to throw the ball to. Very, very exciting to see what Ray maybe can bring to the table. The one thing is that especially when we first got Ray, he had to learn the offense. It's a very difficult offense. So he's been with us, for a short bit, but at least gave him some time to learn some of the offense. If not, I don't know if he'll learn all of it, but so we'll have to wait and see how much he winds up getting on the field, if at all. Because one thing the Giants do like to do, especially since Malik Neighbors has gone down, is run the 12 personnel, 1 running back and 2 tight ends. Now, with Daniel Bellinger possibly not playing because of his neck, what are the Giants going to do? Because they would have the 12 personnel, obviously. The 1 running back, they'd have Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger on the field quite a bit. Both those guys can maybe block, but they can also go out and run pass patterns as well. If Bellinger's not there, you can put the 12 personnel, but you're going to have Theo Johnson and who are you going to put? You're going to put Chris Manhertz, who can run pass patterns, of course, but not maybe as good as Bellinger. But Manhertz is a blocker. That's why he's on the team. You take his first 3 letters from his last name, and that's all you need to know about what kind of a blocker. He's a man. He's a good blocker. Not so much a big threat in the passing department, but a very good blocker. Then, of course, we have Fedoni. So it'd be interesting to see if Bellinger doesn't go, do they still use the 12 personnel as much as they have been, or are they trying to mix and match? We'll have to wait and see. Meaning, obviously, putting more wide receivers on the field more often, 3 wide receivers. The Giants elevated Ray McLeod for Sunday's game. The Giants signed the 29-year-old McLeod to their practice squad last week, just 1 day after he was released by the Falcons. McLeod has 158 career receptions in 98 regular season games. He had a career best 62 receptions for Atlanta last season. It's like he had 62 receptions for you last year. Wow. Giants had elevated wide receiver Little Jordan Humphrey from the practice squad for the last 3 games. Humphrey is out of elevations and would have to be added to the 53-man roster. So we're not exactly sure if the Giants want to do that or not, because you can bring him up 3 times, you bring him up again, he has to be put on the 53 for a certain amount of weeks. Not sure the Giants want to do that once again. The Giants will also elevate Zaire Barnes for the 3rd and final time in 2 games. Barnes has played 40 special team snaps. Giants also made a move to help their cornerback depth. Art Green, also ruled out for Sunday's game, has been placed on injury reserve with a hamstring injury. Rico Payton, who's on injury reserve with a groin injury since being claimed off of waivers right before the season began, has been added to the 53-man roster. Unfortunately, Paulson Adebo and Cordell Flott will miss Sunday's game. So, you got Andrew Phillips, who's a slot cornerback, but the 2 outside cornerbacks, our 2 starting outside cornerbacks, won't be playing. We're going to have to wind up putting Tay Banks in there. So this is, once again, is a very good possibility there will be some points put up on the board. Unfortunately, what I brought up, the Giants did not elevate or sign running back Turbo Miller from the practice squad. That means that they only have 2 running backs, Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Devin Singletary, which will be active against the 49ers, unfortunately. So Ray McLeod will be in action. All the stats you need to know on McLeod can be found. McLeod's stat line this year features 6 catches for 64 yards. He put up 16.0 yards per game and has been targeted 14 times. In his week 4 game against the Commanders, McLeod was targeted 2 times and racked up 1 catch for -7 yards. The Giants have listed 4 of the receivers on injury report this week at one time or the other. Of course, Jalen Hyatt had a tooth or had wisdom teeth, I think, extracted. Bo Collins was limited in participation in practice with a quad. Chris Manhertz had an illness. And, of course, Daniel Bellinger with his neck. So the Giants, we have some issues as well in the receiving / tight end department. So should be a very interesting game, to say the least. Now, of course, it's one of those things. It's just like, you're just so excited with the possibility of the defense. Now, of course, obviously, some of it, is come crashing down because the injuries. We kind of thought maybe Tyler Nubin might take maybe a nice little step forward this season. It's like not really hearing much from him. The cornerback Cordell Flott has done very well this year, but of course with his concussion, he's out. We spent $100 million on Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo, and you would kind of hope and think, and maybe somewhere along the line during some of the games, man, Debo was all over him, or what a good interception, or Holland came down and filled the hole, and man, what a great tackle, and you think you would hear these guys' name a little bit more than what. And of course, with Dexter Lawrence, well, a lot of it, doesn't help because we lost Micah McFadden early in the first week of the season. So something you were really, really excited about. Just Abdul Carter is not gotten the number of sacks per se. However, I do believe he's in the top 10 of pressures in the NFL. That's not too bad for a rookie. I saw somewhere on in the Facebook groups, somebody came up and posted an article, and they mentioned that quite possibly, if at the way it looks right now, if you go back in time and with what the information you have at hand right now, possibly Jackson Dart would be the first player taken in the NFL draft. Possibly Abdul Carter might be the second guy taken. Not that Hunter's not doing horrible, but it seems like Carter might be have the edge on him, especially with the pressures. So there's a possibility, right? If you look at it like that, if you're a Giant fan, well, not that we had anything to do with it, but you can kind of pat yourself on the back a little bit. Quite possibly, if there was a redraft, possibly, the first 2 picks in the draft might be Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter. Giants got them both. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. But it's just this defense, just a damn shame. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb here. Whoever the new defensive coordinator is next season, it'll be interesting to see. Can he get more out of this defense, or is he going to have to start letting some guys go and bringing in his own guys? Or it's going to be interesting to see. Very, very interesting to see. Flott, well, because 2 of our guys. Well, my bad. I apologize. Dane Belton, the backup safety, it's a contract year for him. Flott, quite possibly, has been the best cornerback we've had. Contract year for him. And Micah McFadden, of course, we only saw him play a quarter, 2 quarters, and the season's over with. Contract year for him. So whoever the new defensive coordinator is and is Shane going to be back? Let's wait and see. We got some guys, a few guys on defense we really need to bring back. Obviously, we got Kayvon. Picked up his 5th-year option. So he's signed for next season. Obviously, we got Abdul Carter. We got him I'm going to go out on a limb. We got him for 4 more years. We got Bernsey for a couple more years. We got Dexter for a couple more years. Now, is Dexter ever going to come back to the way he used to be? Obviously, we just drafted Alexander. We have a Karake for another season. We got a Debo. We got Holland. We got Phillips. We got Newman. So we got a lot of guys on the contract for at least another year or two or whatever. A few of the guys could be interesting. I mean, like Bellinger, going to bring him back. Are we going to bring him back? Flott, DJ Davidson, Belton, McFadden. So this got some guys, the contract years. None of them are going to be breaking the bank or anything. So the Giants certainly, I believe, would have enough money to, if they wanted to, bring them back. But I'll have to wait and see. But this defense is. Why is the New York Giants' hyped defense flopped? This is from The Athletic. Remember when the Giants' offseason was dominated by questions about how good their defense could be? Could it be a top 10 unit? A top 5 unit? Oh, dare we guess, huh? It's hard to believe those questions were being asked just 2 months ago. Yeah, kind of makes you scratch your head. Yeah, we were thinking about that. Yeah. With the Giants ranking 27th in points allowed and 29th in yards allowed midway through the season, the question now seems to be, how much worse can it get? I mean, 276 yards we give up against the Eagles. I mean, Saquon was averaging, what was it? Like, I think 3.4 yards a carry going at 3.3 yards a carry going to that game. Baun has cost the Giants 3 games. See, you always look, it's always woulda, coulda, shoulda. I like doing that. Kind of makes me, in a small way, feel. But you look at we're 2-6, and you look at, man, we could have won this game, we could have won that game, we could have won it. Flip flop 2 or 3 wins. I mean, just flip flop 2 wins. Now we're 4-4. Oh, okay. We're 4-4 actually when we're in second place in the division now because they got the Eagles and nobody else has a winning record. It's just 2 wins, and that's not stretching it. I mean, the Saints got 1 win. Who did the Saints beat? I forgot. Who did they beat? I don't remember. Saints beat somebody. Saints got 1 win. 1. They suck. Who did they beat? Forgot. We 5. I think we had. I guess maybe more turnovers in that game than the rest of the season combined. Is that true? I don't remember offhand, but we had 5 straight drives with turnovers. I mean, the Skattebo fumble that was at least a 10-point swing right there. We're going in for a field goal because I believe Gano was there, so we actually had a field goal kicker kick field goals. So we're going in possibly for a touchdown, but if we get stopped around the 10-yard line, we kick a field goal. What was it? We lost 26-14. Was that what it was? So you give us 3 points there. But no, Skattebo fumbles the ball, runs it back 86 yards the other way. That's a 10-point swing. Take 7 points off of them. They got 19. Give us 3 points. Now it's 19-7. A little different ball, And we had 5 turnovers. The Cowboy game. And then, of course, the Bronco game. I mean, it's like that every year. Every year. The Giants were gashed for 276 yards rushing in Philadelphia. Once again, they had one of the worst rushing defenses. And that was one of the specific things was with Bowen coming in. He was supposed to be very good in the red zone, and his rushing defense was really, really supposed to be good. Whereas have no pass rush. I know. I know. Well, the guys has to take advantage of that. Definitely has to take advantage of that. Yeah, I think I've read. I think I'm like. Oops, sorry, buddy. I got my dog at my feet. Sorry, pal. I think you have 9 sacks. They got one sack a game. All right. We need to take advantage of that. And that's the one nice thing for the, if you give, I don't want to say any quarterback, but you give most quarterbacks enough time, they'll find somebody. Or if there's nobody open, maybe Jackson can take off, do his thing. But Big Dash, how you feel about tomorrow? Well, it should be a very interesting game. I think both teams will wind up scoring some points. I mean, I just every time I feel good about this game. It's like after we wind up losing, it's like at least we have played pretty well at home, though. We have a lot of our games are. I think 6 of the final 9 games are at home. I believe it is. We have a lot of home games coming up, which is good. We did lose the one to the Chiefs, but that's when Russell Wilson was there. But against the Chargers, the Eagles, we've played well at home so far. We've played at least the past couple games. We've played pretty well at home. So I think it should be a good game. Should be a hopefully a competitive game. Hopefully in the fourth quarter, it should be like one score either way. But just the way our defense is playing, I'm sure the 49ers will probably score some points. But I'm not really scared to death about their defense either. So we should be able to put some points up as well too. Should be a good game. Hopefully, it should be an entertaining game. Unlike last week. Well, last week was entertaining, but for all the wrong reasons. I mean, last week, last week, it was very entertaining. Not for us giant in a good way, but it was there was a lot going on there between the calls and Skattebo, and a lot of things were going on there. Oh yeah, yep. Oh yeah. I mean, he's got a chance once again. It's a good chance to put up some good numbers, put up some good stats. Absolutely. Even a lost season like this, you got to look. You got to try to find the little nuggets out there. Hopefully, we got a quarterback for the future. So. Possibly we had our quarterback for the future, but now he's playing like an MVP with another team. So was it the quarterback or was it the coaching? I mean, we couldn't win with him here, but now he's with the Colts, and he's 7-1 with the Colts. Wasn't that the team we beat last year? They gave us our 3rd win. Right? It was the Colts, right? We whooped up on them too, didn't we? But now Daniel Jones is with that Colts team, and they're 7-1. Oh yeah, well, Skattebo, right? But I mean, Dart. Oh yeah, actually, absolutely. I mean, very very excited. Coaching. I mean, Barkley leaves. He has over 2,000 yards rushing. He never would have done that with the Giants because the Giants' offensive line isn't that good, right? But then you let McKinney go, right? Was he tied for the league in interceptions last season? Yeah. Daniel Jones had like an MVP type caliber season. So the Giants, they got gashed by the Eagles. Once again, they have the worst rushing defense and one of the worst. They're allowing 148.9 yards rushing per game, which ranks 30th. They ranked 27th last season, 29th in 2023, and 27th in 20. So the rushing defense is just absolutely atrocious. And that was one of the things Baun was supposed to be good at, stopping the run. All the hype about the Giants' pass rush overlooked the fact that there were now no notable reinforcements to address their weak run defense. The defensive tackle spot next to Sexy Dexy continues to be treated like an afterthought by General Manager Joe Shane. 2-year, $9 million contract for a 32-year-old journeyman, Roy Robertson Harris, represented the Giants' biggest investment at the position this offseason. Shane selected Darius Alexander in the 3rd round, which was the first pick in the first 4 rounds on a defensive tackle in Shane's first 4 drafts. Alexander has flashed potential, but he hasn't been the plug-and-play upgrade the Giants were counting on when they selected the 25-year-old. The same top 3 inside linebackers returned. Bobby Okereke. Micah McFadden was lost to a major foot injury in the opener, which forced Darius Muasau into the starting role, and he's had his issues. The internal excitement over Muasau hasn't been validated by his play as he's emerged as a weak link in the expanded role. Yes. The biggest disappointment has been a revamped secondary featuring young draft picks and a high-priced free agents. The Giants spent nearly $100 million combined on Adebo and Holland in free agency. The vets have been fine, but they haven't been a difference makers. Now, I mean, once again, I'm not saying that, they got to be difference makers in every game, but man, can you 1 or 2 games? I mean, is that too much to ask? I mean, we're paying these guys about like $1 million a game. Is that too much to ask to make a difference every now and then? Something? I mean, it's been quite a few times in some of these games, right, where we just need a stop, an interception, a pass to flat, anything. You're paying Holland like $1 million a game. Adebo, can somebody come up with something? One time during the season, is that too much to ask? Flott has been a pleasant surprise by emerging with his best play in his 4th season, although he had to rotate with Banks for the first 5 weeks as the team brass stubbornly tried to wedge the 2023 first-round pick onto the field. Banks performed so poorly that he was finally benched in week 6. Slot cornerback Drew Phillips remains a physical presence against the run, but he has been a liability in coverage. Safety Tyler Nubin still looks nothing like the ball hawk he was billed as coming out of college, and his poor angles and missed tackles have sprung many of the long runs the defense has surrendered. Yeah, you get the guy Nubin. He does pretty well last season. You kind of hoping maybe, you start, keep going, right, progressing. Looks like he's kind of starting to go back down. It's the 3 edge rushers who generated the most hype, Burns, Kayvon, and Carter, have played well, but the Giants' 19 sacks only ranks 13th. Burns is tied for the league lead with 10 sacks, while Kayvon is a distant second on the team with 2.5 sacks. Carter's been a disruptive pass rusher, but the rookie only has half a sack in his first 8 games, but he does have a lot of pressures. Sacks can be a misleading stat, but the Giants rank 20th, and the pressure rate paints the picture of a pass rush that isn't dominating as expected. And a lot of it also has to do with something. Maybe, Dexter Lawrence has been double teamed, but he's not making a difference. Giants haven't gotten the same level of production from Sexy Dexy, who launched himself into the discussion as the best interior defensive lineman in the league over the past few seasons. Lawrence instead has found himself at the center of a different conversation this week, with franchise legend Carl Banks declaring that opponents no longer respect the 3-time Pro Bowler. Lawrence, who continues to be double-teamed more than any other player in the league, fired back at Banks. He said that he's delusional. Then the Giants faced the 49ers offense that is surprisingly pedestrian, ranking 25th in the league in scoring. Giants defense has shown glimpses of being a top unit. The unit appeared to be turning a corner for a 7-quarter stretch from weeks 6 to 7 when it held the Eagles and the Broncos to a combined 17 points. Right? The first 4 quarters against the Eagles, they scored 17 points. And then, of course, against the Broncos, actually, if you want to look at it like that, the Eagles scored 17 points in the first half. There's 5 quarters in a row. The Giants pitched donuts. Second half, the Eagles didn't score at all. They moved the ball down the field, and we had 2 very timely turnovers, which were huge. The Cordell Flott interception and the when Dane Belton punched the ball out. That was huge as well. Huge, right? But the final 2 quarters against the Eagles, and then quarter number 1, quarter number 2, quarter number 3 against the Broncos. 5 straight quarters we pitched donuts. Of course, we gave up 342 points to the Broncos in the fourth quarter, which cost us the football game, but there was 5 quarters in a row that Giants did very well. And not to mention that, let's not forget about when we played the Chargers. Looked pretty good in that one, too. But the defense abruptly fell off a cliff, allowing an incomprehensible 71 points over the past 5 quarters. Covering New York's 33-32 fourth quarter collapse in Denver and a 38-28 blowout loss to the Eagles last week. And let's not forget, the Eagles tried a field goal, which hit the upright. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, I get it. I'm glad it hit the upright and it didn't go through. But the Eagles were, what, 3, 4, 5 inches away, whatever it was. If the ball was on the other side, it didn't bounce, from getting another field goal. But also, let's not forget, the Broncos had 5 possessions in the fourth quarter. 5. Scored on all of them. 4 touchdowns and a field goal. The Eagles had 9 possessions last week. The 9th possession was they just ran the clock out. So I'm not even going to consider that. But other than that, the Eagles had 8 possessions. So the 5 possessions that the Broncos had in the fourth quarter and the first 8 that the Eagles had, 5 and 8, 13. Out of those 13 possessions, the Giants defense gave up 11 scores. Would have been 12 if the Eagles did not hit the upright on that 1 field goal drive. The Giants in the past 5 quarters have only forced 1 punt. 1 punt. If we could have forced a punt against the Broncos, we win the game. I mean, they had five possessions, forced 1 punt. Not asking for much. Give up 4 scores and force 1. Is that too much to ask? Let them score on 80% of their drives in a quarter. I'm good with that. We'd win. Instead of 2-6, now we're 3-5. But the biggest concern is the Giants prepare for a stretch against some of the league's best offenses. Green Bay, Detroit, New England. Drake May's looking pretty good. Is that Bowen hasn't shown any signs of being able to fix a defense that entered the season with such promise. Nope. And that's one of the things that it's just that really gets you. And it just kind of shows you it's coaching. When things just start going bad, we have no answers. If everything's going hunky-dory and we're completing passes and we don't throw we don't throw interceptions and maybe we get an interception here or there and stuff like that. If everything's going really good, we got a chance of winning. But once things start just going south, we don't have no answers. But there's nothing to stem the tide. Nothing. So compounding matters for the defense are the rash of injuries. Debo, the number 1 corner, has a sprained MCL, according to a league source. He missed the Eagles game and hasn't practiced this week. He's not playing. Flott left the Eagles game in the second quarter with a concussion after accidentally getting hit by a Karake. He's out. Flott hasn't participated this week. Depth corner Art Green, who is a core special teamer, left the Eagles game with a hamstring injury. He's on IR now. So a couple of the Giants cornerbacks that played in last week's game, we gave up 38 points, and it could have been worse. But a couple of those cornerbacks that were in the game last week against the Eagles aren't even going to be playing this week. That leaves the Giants extremely shorthanded at corner, with Banks being pressed back into action at the starting role. Corey Black, who signed off the Jets practice squad last week, is in line to be on the other starting corner on the perimeter. So we got Banks and we got Black. How do you feel? You feel all warm and fuzzy about that? about those two guys, those two cornerbacks? The backup corners should be bernard-converse, who was claimed for waivers from the Browns on Tuesday, and Rico Payton, who has been on the injury reserve since being claimed off of waivers from the Saints after cut day. So we got Rico Payton, bernard-converse, Corey Black, and Deonte Banks. Wow. Feeling pretty good about that, huh? Might seem like the Giants are catching a break against a 49ers offense that is missing top wide receivers Brandon Ayuk, who's been out for a long time, and Ricky Pearsall with a knee. So that's helpful. However, they do have Kittle, though. But San Francisco is ranked second in passing offense. They have no wide receivers to throw the ball to, and somehow they're still ranked second, and they have a backup quarterback, and they're still ranked second in passing offense. So really keep an eye on Kittle and especially McCaffrey. That's particularly impressive considering starting quarterback Brock Purdy has been limited to 2 games with a toe injury. Purdy has been limited participating in practice all week. Mac Daddy Jones is a step down from Purdy, but he's filled in capably in 6 starts, and it looks like Mac Daddy Jones will once again be playing. Christian McCaffrey is 8th in the NFL with 559 receiving yards. George Kittle is back in the lineup after missing 5 games with a hamstring injury. Wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, who has signed a 1-year, $1.8 million contract week 2, has 28 catches, 429 yards. So the presence of McCaffrey and Kittle is considerably troubling for a Giants defense that is weak up the middle against the run and in coverage. Holland is trending toward a return after missing the Eagles game. Looks like he'll be playing, but he's still got a problem with the knee. So that's not going to help. San Francisco coach Kyle Shanahan is a master at exploiting weaknesses. Yes, he is. So he figures to zero in on Darius Muasau and Tyler Nubin. We're not having phenomenal seasons. And then let's not forget the backup cornerbacks that we have out there as well, too. The 49ers surprisingly rank last in yards per carry, but they should be able to attack the weak perimeter of the Giants' run defense. Now, that's one thing that the Giants have had a hard time. Sometimes set the edge. So the 49, I mean, especially at the wide receiver, they don't really have anybody that really is going to scare you. But the way the Giants defense has been playing, the 49ers probably going to move the ball, score some points. Giants offense should have the same capability too. So hopefully it should be at nothing bad. It should be an entertaining game. Could wind up being, who knows? Could be last team with the ball wins. That's the way it was with the Bronco game, right? They're just walking up and down the field. Giants couldn't stop them. When the Broncos took that one lead, Dart led the team down the field. We got the touchdown. Unfortunately, we left a few too many ticks on the field, on the clock. Would have benefited. The Giants really would have benefited if if Dart was down when he snuck in the end zone. If he was down and they could have maybe ran some more time off the clock, that would have really benefited the Giants. Because then if they could have gotten in on the next play or so, that would have been a real good possibility they would have won that game. But the thing is, when you got a chance to score a touchdown, you scored a touchdown. So just, once again, one of those things that the luck did not go for the Giants. And then finally, as we have here, the Dodgers won. Dodgers won the World Series. The Blue Jays escaped a bases-loaded jam in the nail-biting bottom of the 9th inning. Dodgers won. Congratulations to the Dodgers. The Blue Jays blew it. Anyway, meanwhile, once again, back at the ranch, I said, it's really nice. There are obviously some silver linings. Once again, there's certainly some good things to come out of this season. The nothing, is more at the top of the list for me is that quite possibly we have our quarterback of the future. And if that's the case, we got 10 years, maybe more, of Jackson Dart possibly leading us into the, so. But then you get, sometimes it's just kind of like another year of wasted greatness. And you got, obviously Andrew Thomas. You can take your pick of thing. I mean, Brian Burns is having a phenomenal season. It's a shame that, greatness, Malik Neighbors, what the numbers he could have put up this season, but he got injured. So you can just kind of go on and on. But it's just always a shame when you have, someone of like possibly the Andrew Thomas caliber. And, you have one of the greatest left tackles in Giants history. I'm not going to say the greatest, but one of the best, obviously top 2 or 3 to me anyway, left tackles the Giants have ever had in history. And you're just wasting this talent. It is an absolute shame. The Giants did have, to me anyway, there's somebody I'll go over in just a minute or so here who's a little bit better than Andrew Thomas. But, I mean, I'll share my screen here. I mean, Andrew Thomas had a very good, so far, has not allowed a sack, according to PFF, this season. Let me share my screen here. I got to find this. I got 74,000 tabs open up here. But it's just a shame when you have somebody, with the talent of an Andrew Thomas and the way he's playing and all, and he's just playing on another losing team. It's just a shame. When you finally got yourself somebody really, really good at one of those real tough positions, you finally got you. He's coming back from an injury. He's playing really well, and he's obviously over his career, as we see here, I mean, he's putting up some really, really good numbers here, just from PFF, right? This season, he's at 78.9. Last year was 75.4, 76.1, 89.1. Right, let's not forget, he was, last season, with the injury, right? He has had some injuries, which has probably obviously hurt his play just a tad. But in 2022, right, when we went to the playoffs, 89.1, just absolutely, an 88.8 pass blocking grade. Gave up 3 sacks. His rookie season was a little rough. 62.4, gave up, according to PFF, gave up 10 sacks. He gave up a lot of pressures. He gave up 57 pressures his rookie season, but he's taken leaps and bounds since that particular point in time. And so far this year, he's at a 78.9. He's coming back off the injury. Right? He only started, what we got? Against the Chiefs, he only played about half the snaps. I think it was just about half the snaps. But then after that, against the Chargers, last 5 games, he's played like every snap. And he's 78.9 on the season. And you look here, right? He's given up 3 pressures. Not 7 pressures. He's given 1, 2. So he's played 6 games and he's given up 7 pressures. He's given up 6 hurries and 1 hit. He's given up 1 quarterback hit against Denver. And we played some pretty decent defenses, right? You got the Eagles twice. We played Denver, Kansas City, the Chargers. So we played some pretty decent defenses, and he has not allowed a sack all season long. Which so far, by far, it would be actually, you look at 2021, playing 800, and he only gave up 2 sacks. That's his low so far. 2022, he gave up 3 sacks. So, but just look how great these numbers are. And it's just a shame when you want to, having somebody like him, and you're not able to take advantage of something like that. Now, we did it, and obviously he's the left tackle. Now, Kareem McKenzie, PFF actually goes back to 2006. So Kareem McKenzie, who was the right tackle, had some very good seasons as well, too. Let me show you. Let's see here. I got to find him here. His numbers were really, really good. Although, once again, He's a right tackle. Now, if you look, it's not his career because they only go back to 2006. But you look at his time with the Giants, these last 6 years with the Giants, from 2006 to 2011. His first year wasn't that great, but 81.2, 84, 85, 85. And he had 4 really, once again, it was right tackle. 4 phenomenal seasons. Look at this. 2009, his run blocking grade, 92.4. 2010, his run blocking, 89.3. Very good run blocker. He was a really good pickup for the Giants when they picked him up. But once again, he was a right tackle. To me, in Giants history, there's only one other, to me anyway, there's only one other left tackle the Giants have had who was more dominating than Andrew Thomas. I said, it's just such a shame. I said that the talent that is there, and it's just, he's playing. So far, he's come back from an injury, knock on wood. So far, he's played all the snaps. He has no injury designation so far. Let's hope he can keep it up. That would be absolutely fantastic. But I said, it's just a shame that when you have somebody that good and you just pretty much wind up just kind of like wasting his talent. And I said, the only other guy in Giants history to me who was a better left tackle than Andrew Thomas would be Mr. Roosevelt Brown. Now, this guy here, who was drafted in the 27th round from Morgan State, who was drafted in 27th round. played from 1953 to 1965 for the Giants. He was a tackle. He was the left tackle. But this guy here was just phenomenal. You go back, 1950, he's 255 pounds. So he would be like a linebacker nowadays, but he played tackle back then because going back 75 years ago, the offensive linemen were not that big. 255 pounds was a nice size offensive lineman 75 years ago. You're 255 nowadays, you're not playing the offensive line. You're too light. But Roosevelt Brown was built like a Greek, a god. He had like a 32-inch waist, 255 pounds, 6'3". He was a phenomenal athlete. One time there was a story that Frank Gifford told. Frank Gifford, number 16, Hall of Famer. We got his number retired, number 16. He played his pretty much. There was only Gifford came in 1951, so 51 and 52. Gifford was on the Giants, and Roosevelt Brown was not on the Giants. Roosevelt Brown came in 53. So, but from 53 to 64, when Gifford retired, every year Roosevelt Brown was on the Giants, and Roosevelt Brown was the left tackle, and Frank Gifford was our running back most of the time. After he got the bad hit from Chuck Bednarik, he became like a wide receiver, flanker, so he wasn't a running back. But throughout the 50s, Frank Gifford was a running back, and he told the story one time that he got the handoff, I guess it was probably maybe from Charlie Connolly, and he was running, and he ran to Roosevelt Brown's side. Roosevelt Brown was the left tackle. So Roosevelt Brown, gave a block. Gifford got past the block, I guess got on the outside, and he was running. Right? And he's running down the sideline, and after 5-10 yards or so, he started feeling his presence. Sometimes you got to feel, or you can hear a guy coming after you or something like that. So as Frank Gifford, the running back, is running, he's feeling this, or he knows there's somebody like behind him running, and Frank's running, and this dude, whoever's behind him, is catching up to him. So Frank's like, oh man, somebody's going to tackle me. So he's running and running, and then finally this person behind him catches up to him and keeps running past him, and Frank's running and running. Well, it was Roosevelt Brown, our tackle. not only did he get a block, Frank Gifford got in front of him, and Roosevelt Brown just took off and caught up to Frank Gifford and actually passed him. I don't know if Frank scored a touchdown or not, but Rosie got in front of him to maybe help block some more. But, I mean, he was just an unbelievable athlete. But one of the things, obviously, that made him, Rosie, so special also was he didn't miss any games, unlike Andrew Thomas. I get it. It is what it is. It is what it is. But if you look here, right, Roosevelt Brown, when he got drafted in 1953, from 1953 to 1960, he only played 12 games. Didn't start playing 14 games until 1961. So if we count, he played 13 years, Roosevelt Brown. Played in all 12 games here, 12 games here, 12 games here, 12, blah, blah, blah. So he missed, it wasn't until 1958, his sixth season, he missed one game. Right. Then, so his first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, first 8 seasons, Roosevelt Brown, a left tackle, missed one game in 8 seasons. One game. 1962, in 1961, he started playing 14 games. So in 1962, he missed a game. 63, he missed a game. 64, he missed a game. So he played 13 seasons, Roosevelt Brown. He missed 4 games in 13 seasons. He never missed more than one game in a season. He missed 4 games in 13 years. But if you also look over here, too, right, there's another one of the reasons why he's in the Hall of Fame and all. 1955, he's a Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, Pro Bowl, second team All-Pro, All-Pro here, Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro, Pro Bowl. So, and once again, as you see here, right, left tackle. Now, obviously, of course, the PFF wasn't around in 1953, so can't really tell. He doesn't have his PFF grades, but without a doubt, he's in the Hall of Fame. And the Giants Giants are not known. Their offensive line, you go back to 1925, right? 1925 to this season. This is 101st seasons. We don't have many offensive linemen in the Hall of Fame. One of them would be Mel Hine, our center. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's the only, and he will be the only, period, end of story, end of conversation, the only center who became the MVP of a season. Could you imagine that? A center being the MVP of a season, 1938. That'll never happen ever again. But, we don't have a lot of offensive linemen in the Hall of Fame. We got Roosevelt Brown, Mel Hine. So we when it comes to the New York Giants and really good offensive line play, obviously back in 2007, we had Seubert and Snee, O'Hara, Deal, and McKenzie. We had those guys for like 4 or 5 years in a row when they just played like every game. I mean, there was some really good offensive line play. But as I said, coming now, whether it's, like maybe Sexy Dexy last season, how dominant he was, and we were on a 3-win team. Absolute shame. How good Malik Neighbors was last season. Once again, we're on a 3-win team. How good Malik Neighbors could have been possibly this season, but he got injured. But I'm talking about here with Andrew Thomas. Once again, one of the it's a shame. If you go back 101 seasons for the New York Giants, to me, I'm just trying to think pretty much maybe off the top of my head or whatever, maybe like the second best left tackle we've ever had in 101 seasons. That's saying something. So it's just a shame. And when you have one of the greatest of all time in New York Giants history on your roster, and he's performing at a very elite level. So if he hasn't given up a sack this season so far, he's playing a phenomenal level. And, hopefully we still have some more years left of him if he can stay healthy. That's another one of those big things. Can Andrew Thomas stay healthy for a season? Well, so far he has. And so far he's come back and he's done really, really well. As I said, it's just a shame. One of the greatest of all time that the Giants have had at a certain position And pretty much shame. They're just wasting the guy's talent. What a shame. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 25 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you, thank you, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Beat those 49ers, baby. Woo! Oh, yeah.